I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans. And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field. Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Ten 10% of all the new cars sold in Iowa come from the Carl Auto Group. Our neighbors trust us to have the largest selection and the highest standards. To our current customers, thank you. And to our future customers, see for yourself why Carl drives Iowa.
Your dealer for life, it's the Carl way.
Chris Williams, Brent Blum, from the Wild Rose Casino Studio. It's Williams and Blum, presented by Mechdyne, on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.
What is up? It is Wednesday, the 30th of April. Welcome to Williams and Blum Wednesday, presented as always by our friends at Mechdyne and the Mechdyne Corporation, MECHDYNE.com. Are you graduating from college coming up? Don't have a job? Go to the Mechdyne job board, see what they got for it. You would be lucky to work for, I don't know who you are, but you would be lucky if they would give you a job. I'll tell you that right now. Am I wrong, Bloom?
No.
It's where we're going to work when everybody runs us out of this business.
Yeah, I hope could be sooner than later. So, yes, they had an employee trip to the Dominican last week for their high achievers.
When do we do a Cyclone Fanatic trip to the Dominican?
I texted Clover and Redmond. I'm like, aren't we a part of the company now, or are we just selective?
I mean, we get to go to the socials and stuff.
I figured we'd be invited, but apparently not. So we'll get there. It's all right.
Someday.
Someday. Great people, great company. 100%.
Love these people at Mechdyne. Appreciate all of our great sponsors. We are a little bit of a different show today. This is cool. We are going to interview Rocco Becht coming up here. It's a shorter interview, but he has a camp coming up in Ankeny this weekend that we want to help him promote. We're going to talk to him about the spring, specifically his relationship with Xavier Townsend. Want to get his opinion on Jalen and Jaden being drafted to the same team. All that really good stuff. So that is coming up. We do have that interview with Rocco Becht. We are also going to go through and this is not from the program, this is just my projection is what the depth chart will look like for game one. So I'm throwing a lot out there, Brent, because half these D linemen aren't even on campus. Right. This is there's guys coming back from injuries. This is a projection, and the reason I do this every year is because I have to have it for the preseason magazine that I write. They still
make those, huh? They still make those.
They do. Believe it or not, they do. The circulation has gone way down, but they honestly that's one of the few print products that still does really well because people get so nostalgic about them.
It's just really hard because there's going to be movement there's going to be movement all the way until August 1 on it, and beyond.
That's the problem is that they're so dated because of the portal and all that stuff. So but it's impossible. And they asked me it's literally the middle of April. They want a 2-deep, but it always produces good content for Cyclone Fanatic too. Cause I have to put on my crystal ball hat. So I'm going to do that today.
And it's really interesting. I was scrolling through it this week, C-Dub, and I was like, wow, I forgot about X, Y, or Z. So I think Iowa State, They just saw another. I saw another way too early top 25 post spring from Andy Staples. Andy's a national guy, and Iowa State I think was 22nd. So there's going to be expectations for this team, and I think for good reason. You go through the depth chart again. You lose a couple high end receivers. Everybody knows that, but I think there's a lot of confidence in that program that Iowa State can be back at it again this year.
Before we get to Rocco Becht, we'll thank our friends at Gravitate Co-working. You can go to gravitatecoworking.com and see all their co-working opportunities in the Des Moines metro. Gravitatecoworking.com. Also, hopewoodjd.com, where you can get your will done in a day. The good news is, I thought that John Halliburton might need his will done last night when Giannis got in his face. Did you see that?
I did. Tyrese said the right things. Like, my dad got a little carried away there.
That was
not the
awesome.
The Cyclone fans have known that guy. That's kind of how he is, but it's
That's
also
my guy, man.
But if you're new to John Halliburton, you're going, what in the world?
Yeah.
I'm happy for Tyrese.
I actually thought when I saw
Giannis handled that very well, by the way.
I thought that John was like congratulating him on a great series. And I was wrong. And the best is Tyrese's mom in the background, like, oh my God,
not again.
Giannis, one of the most incredible athletes in the world, is going to kill my husband. Look at her.
That
give it to John though. Just goes up and goes nose to nose with the man. Like, come on.
Again, John. This is John. I mean, the guy is full of energy. You've talked to John. You've done a podcast with John.
I know John very well. Yeah, it's my guy.
I mean, John did a half-court shot in Maui when Tyrese was a freshman. We're like, this guy is full of it, like energy, life, the whole thing. Happy for Tyrese, though. And Tyrese said in the postgame, he was like, yeah, apologize to Giannis already for my dad. He got a little carried away. But hey.
That's going to be used someday when Everett is out hitting the game winner.
You know me, yeah.
For the Indiana Pacers.
Really mixing it up. I do think, good. And John did tweet, and sincerely apologize to Giannis, the Bucks, for my actions. This was not a good reflection on our sport or my son, and I will not make that mistake again. Again, said all the right things following. Here's where that came from. Tyrese was named the most overrated player by his fellow NBA players, and it's hard to not take that personally. That's a chip on the shoulder for Tyrese, the whole family, the Pacers. Them and the Bucks don't get along anyway. They've had an ongoing rival. Yeah, they've had an ongoing feud with those guys for 3 years. And so to really just kind of kick the crap out of them, win 4-1, that was just emotions getting the best of everybody there. But
what's weird?
Glad cooler heads prevailed.
I've oddly become a Pacers fan. I always tell people, like, when they're like, oh, I want to watch NASCAR or Formula One, or like, because those are my passions, right? And they go, who should I root for? I go, well, just watch 3 or 4 races, and like somebody's gonna pick you. Like, you're not gonna. It's easier to just not. And the Pacers have kind of jumped up, and like, because I've been like I'm not a diehard NBA fan, but I was a Bulls guy.
Yep.
Back into the 90s. Fred goes there, and it's just a disaster. And it's really hard to root for the Bulls. Like, I still will root for the jersey. Like, so if the Bulls were in the playoffs, I would be rooting for them. But like, I don't have like any sort of passion for them at all. The Pacers have kind of jumped up and grabbed me as a free agent here with Tyrese at the helm. Well, I bet there's a lot of Iowa State fans who feel that way too.
Yeah, they remind me a lot of Iowa State. Like, everyone's like, they're just kind of a bunch of guys. Like, they're not, other than Tyrese, they don't have a whole lot of headliners. But they play really well together, and they're fun, too. And I think Rick Carlisle does an amazing job with that team. So I think there's a lot of similarities with the Iowa State fan base and kind of how the Pacers are treated nationally by the NBA folks.
All right, let's get to this Rocco Becht interview, see what the quarterback of the Cyclones has to say. Spring football got done last week. Here it is, our interview with Rocco Becht. All right, well, excited to bring on Rocco Becht. He is the quarterback for the Cyclones. You all know who he is. He's got a big camp coming up this Saturday. We wanted to help him promote it. It is at Ankeny High School, the Rocco Becht Youth Football Camp. I was at your camp last year, and you were mixing it up, man.
That camp in Perry last year was something special, something that I'm wanting to do again later on in the summer. and put on for that community. So hopefully we can make that happen again.
Wow, it's good stuff, brother. I appreciate you using your actual name, image, and likeness to do good in our community.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I really do like it. Man, we talk about it a lot, and I give Brent credit for it with We Will, and it's just there's so much of the bad news and like just crap that makes people mad, right?
Yeah.
And you're really changing our community. So on behalf of everyone, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, the camp on Saturday, it's a chance for me to give back to the community, to the fans, that were able to show up all year for us, for the Cyclones, and just giving back to them because they deserve it. And so, I was able to work with Flex Work, and they're like one of the top leaders in the youth camps, in the youth camp business. And so hopefully it's an awesome experience for all the, the kids that come out. There's going to be high energy training, skills development with the local community coaches. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Everybody's going to be able to, meet one another. I'm going to be able to out there, throwing passes to the guys, taking pictures with everybody. So I'm excited for Saturday. Hopefully, there's limited spots left. So, if you haven't signed up yet, sign up now.
Is there a website, or what's the age range, Rocco? You got it all on there? Okay.
Yeah, we got it, Brent, and we're going to tweet it out. And then Rocco, you have it on your social media profiles too, right, buddy?
Yep. Links all on my social medias, Instagram and Twitter. So, you can find that there as well.
I think I think my 7-year-old's going. He needs to learn.
There we go.
I don't know his position yet. I mean, maybe slot receiver. He just created Jalen Noel in Madden. Like, he just imported the roster. So slot receiver may be his position, Rocco.
Well, I can tell you this. I can tell you this, Rock. Bloom's young boy, Everett's he's full of potential, but he needs an alpha dog male figure to, get up in him. I've seen Brent coach. He's too soft on that boy. If you see him, get after him. Okay?
I need some Coach Becht in my life. Yeah.
I'll get on him a couple times.
There we go. Love it.
Well, let's talk while we have you. Let's talk a little bit of spring football. First of all, I mean the draft. Can we talk about Jalen and Jaden? I guess you get like free tickets to Texans games for the rest of your life, right? Like, how cool is that those guys end up on the same team?
It is pretty cool. I wanted to, because I think that's funny that you said, I should get, free tickets. I actually texted them right after they got drafted. We have a group chat, and I had taken them out to dinner when they had came back in, for pro day and stuff like that. And I texted them like, you guys either repay me with another dinner now. You guys, it's your turn to pay dinner for me. And no, but I'm stoked for those guys. That was one of the wildest things I'd ever seen in a draft. Two guys from the same team who, produced great numbers going to the same NFL squad. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen, and I'm so happy for those guys. But, I'm a little biased, so I was hoping they, went earlier, and I think they should have went earlier. But, as long as they're together, they're literally like brothers. So imagine playing with your brother in the, the highest level of football. That's the most, heartwarming, awesomest thing I've ever seen.
I actually thought there's like a psychological component that seems really smart of what the Texans did there, because it's a huge change, right? Like anytime when you go from high school to college, and I know a lot of guys who have gone to NFL camp for the first time, and it's intimidating. It can be. It's like it's just a life change, and I figure there's got to be an aspect of it where you've relaxed those two guys by putting them there. I'm assuming they're going to room together, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like that is a huge psychological advantage for both of them.
It is. And I mean, like they're, sort of different. Like having both of them on the same squad is like, they're going to bring a culture that's great. Like if they're going to add to that culture, they're going to build that culture. And that's exactly what, I think the GM was talking about after they got drafted. Those two guys are, they're great guys off the field. So whatever they're bringing, into the facility, they're going to get exactly what they're wanting on, off the field as well. So
Rocco, how does their success impact the current wide receiver room? I have to think there's a lot of confidence knowing that Coach Pauly, Coach Mauser, and everybody in that offensive room has the ability. They could be the next Jalen or Jaden.
For sure. And I think that's what all those guys should be thinking. That should build up their confidence, knowing that they came to a program where two guys were able to produce at the same time. A lot of guys think they have to be the one guy to go somewhere and put up a lot of numbers. But, those are two guys who put up over 1,000 yards. And so knowing that, that should give a lot of these guys confidence, a lot of these young guys confidence to go out there and, produce good football. And no matter, if it's a bad game or not, all the guys around you are going to lift you up. And so, hopefully that gives them a lot of confidence. We do have a lot of young guys on the team, but a lot of talented guys as well. So I think this is the most depth that we've had in that room in a while. So I'm excited. Spring ball was great. We just, keep building on in the summer and in the off season and into fall camp, and, we'll see what those guys can do.
Yeah. So how much can you do? I know, like, for literally the last 2 years, you, Jalen, and Jaden were around each other all the time, not to mention the other receivers, but do you put in extra work this summer and doing some just throwing, whenever you guys are in town and all that good stuff?
Definitely. I mean, we just finished spring ball last week. So now it's, we get like a week off. I'm going to give everybody a week off, and then we'll get right back into it. We'll throw probably twice a week. And then we'll kind of like sort of organize some meeting times when we can go back, watch this film from spring ball, know what areas that I want some guys to run a certain route, what at the top of the route, when do I want them to look, stuff like that. Just all those little things that we could get better at in the summer, just because we don't have those reps and, the connection that I had with Jaden and Jalen. So building that over the summer is going to be huge. And so, I got to be able to work my ass off for them. And so hopefully, and then they can
get after it. Let's go.
Produce some good football on the field.
I do think it's interesting, Rocco, first of all, the connection that you have with Xavier. And you and me talked a little bit off air, and I think it'd be great if you could share it with the fans, because it's gone kind of publicized that we all know that you knew him from high school. But I think that we're going to reach a totally different audience with this podcast, and this is a cool story. So how long have you known Xavier Townsend? Where does that relationship go back to?
Yeah, so Xavier Townsend, he's from Tampa. I'm from technically Wesley Chapel. It's about 25 minutes north of him. We actually started to know each other when we were about, 10 years old. We were playing Pop Warner, a youth league. And he was on a team called the West Chase Colts. I was on the team called the Luch Chiefs. And, that team could not lose. I mean, they probably put together like an all-star team of kids in that area, and they would never lose. They won the championship every single year. I did not want to play them at all. He was their best player. I mean, we played that team like, Coach, maybe we run the ball a little bit more. I don't really want the ball. But then, there's another league too where I had switched over this other youth league, and the South Pasco Predators, that was their name. And, eventually the West Chase Colts moved into that league because they said that the league I was in before was too easy. So they moved into the league that I had moved into to get away from them. And then we had to play them again. And so that was rough, but yeah, we go way back. And then we were eventually, able to play each other in high school a couple times. He went to Berkeley Prep. I went to Wiregrass Ranch. We played each other in our spring games 2 years in a row. And those games were awesome. Those games were fun, competitive. And, that guy was that whole team. I mean, he played running back, quarterback, receiver. He could do a lot. And so, when he actually verbally committed here to Iowa State when I committed. I don't know if a lot of people knew that as well. And then he ended up, decommitting and signing with UCF on signing day, I believe, and he wanted to be closer to home to his parents, and so, which was fine. And so he went to UCF for 3 years, and then eventually, I've been in his ear for the past 2 because I've been wanting him to come here. And I tried to get him last year, wasn't able to, and then after this season, he was finally like, man, yeah, I'm going to come join you. So it was awesome to hear that, just knowing that he was, I've known him for a while and know his abilities and know what he can produce. His work ethic is off the charts. He goes out there in spring ball, and he was probably one of the best guys out there. Had championship practices. For a guy that's just coming in like that, that's impressive. And so I can't wait to see what he can do this season.
Rocco, what do you want to work on? Obviously, you've had 2 awesome years, but you're a hardworking guy. You always want to get better. I know last year we talked at your camp. It was a lot of film time, understand the offense, trying to really get and break down stuff. What's your growth now for the next season?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing of it is growing in my leadership role. We had a lot of guys who were leaders, big-time leaders that left. And so having those guys that leave and then a young team that we have now, I got to be able to step into that role take that next step of a leader, not only just on the field but off the field as well. So, I think I've been doing great at that this spring, but there's always areas to grow. And so, I'm still learning that area. But another thing for the season is my, completion percentage, accuracy. Those are things that I want to get better at. My completion percentage was, I think, a little low for me last year. And so that's something that I want to be, top 10, top 5 in the country next year. And that's a big category for me. And then obviously the touchdown ratio, to interception ratio aspect of it. And that all comes with, the accuracy part that I talked about and the decision making and how fast I could process things on the field. And so that all comes with work, with practice throughout the off season, with the coaches, with the guys. And those are just, a couple of the things that I'm trying to work on for next season.
I can only say this to you because I love you, man, and you know that. But let's cut back on the pick sixes, okay?
Oh my gosh, no, yes, I totally agree. We literally joke about all the time. This season, it was probably like week 10. It was after Utah, and I think it was like my 5th one. And I'm like, I was talking to someone. I was like, Dad, how come every single time I throw a pick, it's a pick?
It's
six?
incredible. It's incredible how unlucky you were.
It's like every time I throw one, there's nobody around. Nobody. I just get so unlucky. I'm like, come on. It is what it is, man. I mean, it happens, but I guess I just got to get better at tackling because I had a couple times.
It's like the Dumb and Dumber line, but you totally redeemed yourself no matter what. You still won those games, so all good, man.
Well,
that's
and
awesome.
Do me a favor too, because it's an interesting part of the offseason because you lose 2 NFL wide receivers. And you've got, from what I understand, your tight end room's really strong. I'm hearing that this Cooper Alexander is a dog, and but you got to convince Mauser to not roll out the 3 tight end sets. And we got a 4 or 5 wide. You can line them up as receivers. Come on, I gotta get it. I gotta infiltrate this offensive room. Okay, we need to go air raid.
Air raid,
you're with me, brother.
Air raid would be fun, but just like you said, we do have a lot of ammo in that tight end room, and so I honestly don't think Mouse would go away from the 3 tight end stuff.
I don't think so either.
I might see 4 tight ends, so I don't know.
Well, before you guys got Xavier and Chase, the running joke was that you were just going to play 11 tight ends next year.
It's all tight ends.
Just going to line up all the tight ends.
I mean, we have that many tight ends. That's our tight end room is huge right now. Guys like Gabe and Ben, those guys can go out wide as well. So I'm not worried.
Well, Rock, we appreciate you, man. Hopefully we can fill up that camp for you, and we're always here for you if you need anything. All right,
I appreciate you guys. Yes, sir.
Maybe we'll see you Saturday. Get on my 7-year-old. Gotta be like Jalen. Yeah, get after it.
Oh, I will.
Play to contact. Let's go.
I will.
All right. Thanks, Rocco.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
Appreciate you.
Again, Rocco's camp is coming up on Saturday. You can find those links all over the internet. Starts from 9 until 1 o'clock at Ankeny High School. All right, there you go. Number 3, the man. Bloom's got the hat on. I need to buy one of them. Do you got the trucker? I was looking at his website. Do you have the trucker hat?
I can't.
Or do you have the dad hat?
I don't know. This would be like the golf / casual fan hat. Like I can't pull off the trucker hat. Like I know my limitations.
That's the only hats I wear.
This is middle-aged dad look, I think, more than anything.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
TheRoccoBecht.com though, if you want to get some Rocco gear.
Yeah, he's got a really nice, beautiful website. All right, that was good
dude,
stuff.
By the way, yeah, what a good dude.
He's the best. I mean, he's the best. He's one of the only players I would ever feel comfortable giving crap about throwing pick sixes to. He's just.
Everyone was thinking it.
He's great. I love the kid, and I love his family, and just really good people. I hope he's at Iowa State for the next 20 years, although I have a feeling he's going to be in the NFL before too long.
Well, interesting on that front, because it's NFL draft time. There's obviously some of these future 2026 draft stuff comes out, and I don't know how reputable these are. It's really hard. I mean, literally this time a year ago, Quinn Ewers was in the top 5 in some of these things, right? Like, you just don't know. But I saw one that had a Rocco in the first round. I mean, I think the numbers say that, and I think, does he have the measurables? Does he have the physical tools? Mentally, it's there. There's no question. Mm-hmm. I mean, you saw it in that interview. Guy would dominate the interview scene. Really good dude, does all the right things. It's just physically, does he have the tools? If this was 10 years ago, it'd be harder for him. But I think you're seeing now, you don't have to have the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes arm to still have success in the league. and Rocco's leadership and IQ will give him a chance. And by the way, the Iowa State program's reputation will also give him a chance too. So I don't know if he'll be a first round pick, but I think he will be an NFL player. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, I do too. The Iowa State thing you just can't look past either, because there's a lot of these GMs that are wanting to go out and draft these guys because of Matt Campbell.
Yeah, but keep in mind, and this relates to the new world of college athletics, you almost need to be a first-round pick or a second-round pick at the very least to go early now as a quarterback. Otherwise, you're making $1.5 million, $2 million next year, which is more than you would make as a third or fourth, which is crazy. That's completely bonkers. I understand it, but that's why people are like, well, would he go next year? It's like he does have another year beyond this year at Iowa State, and I think unless he's a first-round pick, he'll be back for his senior year, I would assume, because he'll get paid very well. If you're a powerful quarterback, you're getting paid very well.
Yeah, the Ewers thing's going to change everything.
It is.
We look back on that as a really big point in time where these quarterbacks make a shift. And I also think too, it's like look at compare that to Dylan Gabriel.
Yes,
he stays, goes to a good offense, right, and like has this great final year. And who would have thought Dylan Gabriel 3 years ago would be a pick before Quinn Ewers?
Correct. And even Cam Ward,
Yeah. Great point.
Cam started
Ward.
it.
I always forget about
wherever.
him. He was the best pick. He was the number one pick.
He was started Incarnate Word. Interesting. But yeah, I think Rocco will be back for his senior year, but he's well thought of in those circles as well. So happy for the kid, obviously. He's one-on-one. I mean, he had the donation, which he kind of hinted at. You hinted at a couple weeks ago. Donated Xboxes to every single pediatric room at Mary Greeley Hospital. Did that completely on his own. I mean, just a good dude. And there's a reason why Iowa State football's had success with him as the leader, because he said he's working on his leadership. He's already really good. So he'll be a captain, no doubt, for 2 more years, and he's going to go down as one of the all-timers at Iowa State, and he's already on his way.
All right, let's get into this depth chart as we have promised to do. Our spring football coverage all season long, and has been for like 7 or 8 years now, is presented by our friends at A+ Lawn and Landscape. Shout out to my guy Sean Edwards over there at A+ Lawn and Landscape. They do great work. Hired him for a ton of stuff at my house over the years. They do all kinds of stuff too, from the concrete to they've got tree people. They've got, I mean, anything you need. We did a bunch of videos for them for 712 Media a few years ago, and it's just amazing the amount of knowledge these guys have. So remember them for all of your chemicals or anything you need. A+ Lawn and Landscape.
Loyal supporters appreciate. I mean, they've been around.
Yes.
You're right, Cito. I remember in the COVID years they were doing the sharpen lube, where you'd leave your mower out there, and they'd.
I still do that with them. Yeah,
you keep it away, but also had to be COVID appropriate.
The Sharpen Lube is one of the great services that I've ever paid for in my entire life. To just have that every year, to not even have to worry about sharpening my blades and changing the spark plug and all that. You don't even have to talk to anybody. You just leave it on your front porch.
It's incredible. It's the COVID era continued. I love it.
Yeah, you're not kidding. All right, so let's go through this. And again, I can't make this clear enough. Even explaining it to people on my premium message board posts, like, this is not like a team depth chart. This is me making a projection. So there's going to be a lot of people. Well, what about this guy? Well, he might. This is a projection based on educated guesses. Couple of text messages, and we'll see. But you never know what kind of shape these guys are going to come in the summer. Just some of these guys are here on campus, some are not. We'll get to it. So for quarterback, this one's easy. Quarterback, running back, and tight end are all really easy. You go Rocco, you go Connor Moberly as a redshirt freshman. Running back, you've got Hansen and or Sama. Just kind of there.
Have you guys? Hey, Aiden, can you pull up a picture of Abu, by the way, from this spring? The guy has put on 15 pounds. Like, he looks the part.
Really?
I know.
I hadn't heard that. Okay.
Oh man, I don't know what his offseason was all about, but he looks like a different dude at practice. And I think the question for him is staying healthy. all the above, and the mental part of it. But physically, C-Dub, he is as good a looking as running back as I've seen at Iowa State since Brees. Like he definitely looks the part.
Okay, that's a good little nugget.
Yeah,
I do know that.
Here we got to pick. Look, there's
those arms.
I mean, he is. I'm telling you guys, like he is built like a truck these days, and he came in light as a freshman. He played as a true freshman, but he is almost physically imposing now, which is awesome because he's maintained the athleticism as well.
Yeah, I had to. It's funny you said that, and I kind of wrote this in one of those pieces that if I could buy stock in a guy who people probably sold the stock on last year, it would probably be him. It just because it felt like that freshman year he kind of could jump up and surprise you. Well, that you're not surprising. This happens in college sports all the time, where you can kind of have a sophomore slump ish, and I think in a weird way. And this is crazy considering she set like records. I think Audie Crooks even had that at the beginning of the year because it's like you're not sneaking up on anyone now. Now there's game plans against you, and then you're challenged more, and then there's this like different gear that you get in between your sophomore and so I'm expecting that from her. It's the best example I could come up with off the top of my head, and Abu would be my guy as far as that.
Yeah,
and Bramer too, probably because of the injuries. I think that people probably forgot the type of prospect that he was as a freshman as we move into the tight ends. I mean, Bramer and Burkle had a great second half to last year, but I can't wait to see 18 back out on this field.
Great point. I mean, I think, speaking of the draft, just look at Jalen Knowles' trajectory as an Iowa Stater. Came on the scene as a freshman, big time, was great at times as a freshman. Sophomore year was the Decker's year. Had some numbers, but had some plays. Like, go back to the message board. Like, I saw the posts where people were like, why is this guy on the field? Because he kept dropping stuff and, running out of bounds. People learn. They get better. They get more physical. Jalen added 15 pounds, became a different player, started leaning into contact. And I think, great point on the Audi comparison, I think Abu Sama is one that I'm excited for his junior year. His final 2 years at Iowa State, I think, are going to be extremely productive. And that's not taking a shot at Carson Hansen, who is going to be just as productive in his own way. I think that 1-2 punch at running back is really, really good.
Kind of that Steve-O Klotz position. I have Tyler Moore in there. And then I did this more to make a point about the tight end room than anything. I put Cooper Alexander as the 2 there, only because I think he's going to play a lot, from what I understand. 87 Cooper Alexander. I don't know if he's going to be in that blocking role or whatever, but I think that I think all 4 of those guys will. I think Moore is going to be kind of that Klotz role, will be my guess. But all 4 of those guys are going to be heavily involved in the offense this year. I can joke about the Leach stuff, and I do. It's all a joke. It's hard to keep those 4 guys off the field, is my point.
Yeah, and they've all, veterans now in that. And Alexander's new, but there was a thought last fall camp that he might get some action as a true freshman. He's only gotten better this spring. But that room's pretty deep. Like even a Trip Walsh, these are the walk-on guys that have turned into really good players. So you're going to see CW. You'll see 5 or 6 tight ends throughout the year. There's no question. Mauser's done an awesome job and continues to recruit really well to that room.
The wide receiver position is difficult to project, especially in the 2 deeps, because there's so many guys. And I'm pretty happy with this list that I put together. I did leave Carson Brown off, and I felt bad about doing that but there's only. So I went the first wide receiver, Xavier Townsend and Eli Green, 1-2, with the number 2 spot. So this would be like the Higgins spot. I went Chase Sowell.
We'll get
and
there.
Dominic Overby behind him. At the 3rd wide receiver spot, again, guy maybe buy a little stock in is Daniel Jackson, right?
Yeah,
like this is like your value play, but he's like a 6-year guy now. They loved him going into last year. He gets hurt. So I think I comfortably put him number 1 there. And then I put Brett Eskildsen behind him. But again, like where do you put Carson Brown? And I know there's other
guys,
young guys, and you also kind of see when you're looking at this. We'll get to corner, but why the Benny Ngoyi position change made a lot of sense because they really do have a lot of talented wide receivers here, and I put Benny on the depth chart as far as corner goes. So we'll get to that. But what do you think of these wide receivers? Would you have made any changes?
Yeah, I mean, I think Carson Brown should be on there in some capacity. I mean, it's hard because that's one of those positions where it's like, where do they fit? There's the X, the Y, the Z, situation. We don't know all those
Carson
things.
will play.
He's
again,
play
like I'm not saying like, oh, this guy. I can only put 2 spots, so that's what I came up with.
Well was dinged up a little bit. It's not seriously during spring, so didn't get as good a look at him as you did Townsend. Rocco talked about it. Townsend established himself as a starter day one. He's going to be the starter at that Jalen Knoll spot, no question. But I think there is competition. Adam Overby continues to get better by the day. I mean, he put on some really good weight, super athletic. That guy's going to turn into one of those finds of, oh my, because he was a late get for Iowa State.
He was the senior tape guy who.
Yep.
They always have 1 or 2 of those guys every year.
He has been a big time standout, and he was again this spring. So I think Dom Overby is one of those names that, not the casual fan doesn't know yet. That the diehards do, but he will start to establish himself, in my opinion, as one of those notable guys. And then we don't know about Daniel Jackson. Like, we've seen it. He's done it. It's just, can he stay healthy? But I think you're right to put him as a starter right now because he has the track record and is fully healthy and had a really good spring too.
All right, let's get to the offensive line. We're trying to put the 2s in here is almost impossible. I'm confident in my starting 5. The guys, well, I'm not. It's center. I feel like center. There's probably going to be an or with Brendan Black and Jim Boniface, right?
Yep. Both could play there for sure.
Yeah, I would put an or there probably. All right, so it's starting left tackle. I have James Neal. I'm cool with that. I did go with the transfer. Austin Barrett is his backup.
Yeah, and that's where it's hard to know. Yeah, it's really hard to know.
And it's also a deal too. You have to acknowledge. So, like, if Neal would get hurt, would they just move Tyler Morrow over to there, or move Tyler Miller to left? Like, there's nuance here. But I had to put a 2 deep together, so I put Austin Barrett, and we don't know, he's not on campus, but feel like a third-year guy who's been in the Power 5 programs probably more ready than most redshirt freshmen.
I will say. Your Western Iowa buddy Garrett Rutledge out of Lewis Central, he's coming. He's. I
have him at number 2 guard.
Yeah, I mean he's 6'7", 300. Like, I think he's one of those guys can play both.
You think I'm going to leave the Hawkeye 10 guy off?
Okay, just saying. Garrett Rutledge's names keeps coming up as somebody who they're going to have a tough time keeping off the field in some capacity.
So I have him number 2 at left guard behind Trevor Bohr.
And Bohr's, yeah, I like your starters. So what are your starters, real quick?
It's Neal, Bohr. I put Brennan Black, but I don't know. Like, that one's 50-50, him and Boniface. I put Black, but I have Dylan Barrett at right guard and Tyler Miller at right tackle.
I think Tyler Miller's one of those, because he's been around forever now, it seems like. He has a all Big 12 potential this year. I mean, he continues to get better. He will be an NFL draft pick. We're lucky to have Tyler Miller. I mean, just to kind of give you some numbers, C-Dub, if that guy was in the portal, and thankfully he can't really go in the portal anymore, you're talking about a near $1 million prospect in the portal. He's that good. He has that much experience. Thankfully, he's from right down the road, didn't want to go anywhere. But Tyler Miller's one of those linemen. It's like, holy cow, glad that guy's back for another year.
So my 2s are Austin Barrett, Garrett Rutledge, again, Boniface Black at center.
Yep.
Dalen Hastert as the backup right guard coming off of a knee injury, and then Tyler Morrow at the backup tackle. I think he would probably be your backup
on either
if
end.
Either of the tackles would go down, would be my guess. But I like putting different guys on the depth chart too, for the sake of conversation.
Yeah, and even let me give you a guy that's really impressed, Dontrell Holt.
Okay.
Again, one of those players who's a redshirt freshman, had a great freshman year, got better. Guard tackle, I'm not sure exactly, but and even a Gabe Greenlee's coming on. Like there's numbers there, and again, this is not a hype the offensive line podcast, clearly, but I do think this group is going to be pretty solid, and it has depth across the board.
Okay, let's go on to the defense, and this defensive line was quite difficult to piece together because you're looking at a lot of guys who aren't on campus yet. The ones who are, I think this was pretty simple. For the record, I do put this together, so I'm gonna list out 12 defensive players because of how Iowa State plays defense. It's just there are all these different positions serve a purpose is the main thing to understand. So it's like they really do have 12 starters because it's depending on if you're
that fifth or sixth D back or that
right
line.
Yeah, I think most fans understand that by now with the Haycock D. All right, so the first defensive end, I went with Von Troy Malone, and I have McDonough, the Yale transfer, backing him up. The nose guard, I'll just give you two here. I went Dominic Orange, obviously, with Markel Chapman, who'll be coming in as well as his backup. You got any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about Chapman to know how that's. I know you're just kind of.
I kind of threw it out there, and honestly, somebody told me it's what they think. So it's not perfect.
It's hard because again, Iowa State's got that 3 down front. You know,
right.
It might shift some to 4. That'll be a topic of conversation. Zamir Hawk, Elijah Carnell.
I fell for that last year. That's not.
Yeah,
happening.
I know. I'm talking about, but I'd say Carnell inside, Hawk inside. They're gonna play. Ike had a great offseason again.
Okay, let me give you the others. At the D tackle, I went Hawk and Carnell.
Okay, yeah,
1, 2.
Yep.
Again, like I think if Orange would go down, they'd probably slide Carnell in there like immediately. I would.
Yeah, or Hawk. I think it'd be Hawk.
Either one.
Yeah, they're similar.
And then at the other D end, this one's a little easier. I think Ike Ezeagu and Jace Gilbert.
Yeah,
the redshirt freshman.
Yeah, Jace J. Gilbert. So there's 2 Jace Gilberts on the team. One's the kicker,
and one's the D end.
D end. Jace J. Gilbert from Iowa State's really got a pipeline there going to Waukesha and Arrowhead. That's where the Barretts came from too. I think Barretts. Anyway, this is going to be a position where I have some question marks, but room for somebody to really pop. And you hope it's either one of those transfers, like a Malone, like a McDonough from Yale, who led the Ivies in sacks. I mean, they're anticipating him being productive from the start. Or does an Ezeagu or a Gilbert really make the leap? Exciting there because there's upside, but also question marks. There's numbers, again, but who's going to be those guys that really pop? Because you're replacing some stalwarts there on that D-line. J.R. Singleton played a lot of great snaps for Iowa State for a long time. And so, who steps up, who steps in there and produces, and it's going to be a fun thing to watch in the fall camp.
The linebackers, it reminded me of trying to fill out the receivers with all the names here. And this, be honest, Carson Willich isn't on my 2 deep, and I know he's good enough to be. It's just the injury thing, and I don't really know where he fits right now. I think if he is healthy, he's a guy who finds his way onto the field. I anticipate him being healthy, but here's what I went with. I went with Bacon and Lovett on an edge. I went with Cooper Ebel and Cale Brazina in the middle. And I went with McLaughlin and Bo Goodwin at Sam.
Yeah, I mean there's some really good players there. I forgot to mention him on the D line. Cannon Butler is another one of those players that could be a starter. He got dinged up a little bit in the spring. UNI transfer.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, and
I forgot about that guy.
This went under the radar, C-Dub, because it was right in the middle of basketball season. But Iowa State hired Bryce Popp.
Yeah.
Bryce Popp's now on the staff at Iowa State. Obviously, the former NFL Defensive Player of the Year, was the defensive line coach for UNI for a long time and produced some great players. And Already seen some growth there in that room, and Cannon Butler could be a factor as well. Yeah, Lovett. I think people forget about Lovett. He got hurt last year too. He's had a great offseason.
That injury hurt Iowa State more than most people think.
Yeah, he's getting there. Like I think Lovett's a player that doesn't get talked about because he's kind of been a 2 or 3 year guy, but a player that they think has a chance to be really productive. And that's not to mention even Rylan Barnes, who we know is serviceable. Barnes Farms, let's go. So he's still around it. There's a lot of numbers there. The question is who's going to take the leap. They're super pumped with what Will McLaughlin's done since getting healthy. And I think he's really locked in a spot. Like, of all those positions, I'd say he's really comfortable there. Obviously, Caleb Bacon, if healthy, is really comfortable of playing a lot of snaps. But, a cool good one. Obviously, our guy, Caleb Brzezina. It's really exciting to know that there's some options there. And I think Haycock can kind of mix and match depending on the personnel and who does what. Because there was times last year, it's like, we don't know what we got. Like, try and figure it out, boys. And that attrition really is going to help Iowa State's depth this season.
The secondary, again, is quite difficult to do as far as the two deep goes. But MS, I have Marcus Neal. BS, I have Tayshaun James. At free safety, I have Jeremiah Cooper. Backups, I went with Drew Surges, Jamison Patton, and a redshirt freshman named Carson Van Dinter. For those who are casual fans, seems like he's one of the guys who they are kind of zeroing in on as a stud in the future.
Correct. Yep. Carson's from Wisconsin, has had a really good year plus since he got on campus, and he'll be a factor for sure. Yeah, Neal has been awesome. I think he's the next player. He's the next player to really pop. Kansas City kid, played a lot as a true freshman. Surges getting healthy is not talked about by the casual fan. He would have been potentially a starter at times last year, but was hurt.
He would have been.
Yeah, and then so the safety spot, it's exciting. Even like a Cummings Coleman, kid from Minneapolis who could play some corner, could play some safety. There's another position where you're right, a lot like the linebacker, where like we know there's depth, there's numbers there, but who's going to emerge first? And you've got your rock star and Jeremiah Cooper who will hold down the fort. You know what you're getting from him, but it's those other positions where it's going to be fun because I don't know for sure.
James and Patton feel like a pretty high upside combo at the one spot too. Because Patton was hurt too, right? Hasn't he? He's
been
had
dinged
some
up,
injuries,
and he keeps getting better. I
like him a lot.
I think J-Mo's an NFL guy. I do.
I do too.
His length, his athleticism, and that light started to turn on a little bit last season. I think Patton's one of those players that's going to continue to pop.
I would make the comp for Tayshaun James as well to Jontez Williams, where he probably got thrown out there before he was ready, and got some really bad tape, particularly in that Kansas game.
Mm-hmm.
Verdon goes out, and you've got an elite offensive mind on the Kansas side, and they start going at 19. And I can't tell you how many times I said to Aiden in the press box, they're going at 19, they're going at 19, because you could just see it. And Jontez got that treatment his freshman year, and he was better for it. Now, Tayshaun, to his credit, at the end of last year, I thought was really good.
Yeah, he was awesome in the bowl game, by the way.
Completely sold on that guy.
Yep.
To get beat up the way he did and come back stronger is a mentally taxing spot to be in. And we saw Jontez do the same thing to the point where, who would have thought Jontez's freshman year that he would be your best corner in a year?
Yeah.
Right? Like it was crazy to think that, but he was. I think any of us would have taken him over Miles, and Miles was a good player for Iowa State. So
great point.
That's where I am high on Tayshaun, is how he was able to bounce back from that.
Well, last two games of the year, 8 tackles, fumble recovery against Miami, played great. And then Kansas State, 8 tackles, forced fumble against K-State. Tayshaun James took the punishment against Kansas, got better for it. That shows me a lot. So, I'm a big fan of him. Ready for him to have another great year.
Jontez Williams challenge me and tell me he's not a top 3 corner in the Big 12.
I can't go down the depth chart for everybody, man. There's not many better. Not gonna be many better.
Yeah. So you've got that. Now the opposite side is a challenge.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, first of all, behind Jontez, I have this young kid, David Coffey,
Yes.
who they really like.
Chicago kid. Yep.
Again, like that could change. Very fluid there. I think any of these other three corners on the depth chart are really up for debate.
Yeah.
I have Trey Bell, the JUCO. No, excuse me, not the JUCO. He's the transfer from the lower division.
Yep, from Lindenwood. Yep.
Actually, is Linden? They're going D1.
They
are. They are
They're
already
transitioning. They're
okay. Yeah, they're in like a transition mode or something like that. So Trey Bell, Matt Campbell himself told us at the We Will Cyclone Fanatic signing day party to keep an eye on him, and usually Matt's just really good about not throwing out names unless he's pretty confident the guy's going to. So I listen. Even if he is the starter, I expect some pain here at wherever.
There's going to be learning from that other corner. Absolutely.
But then I put Ngoyi, the former wide receiver, as the backup, and I don't know. Like I love him. You know this. I talk about buying stock. I had more stock in this guy when he got on campus than anybody, and that was when he was at wide receiver. You know what? My stock's been hit because I would double up my position on Ngoyi right now because of his size and his athleticism that he brings to the corner spot. I think he's going to be a really good corner for Iowa State. I just don't know if it's this year. I do know I love the prospect of him as a junior and senior and potentially an NFL draft pick if he can put it all together based on his body type.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear what Iowa State's trying to do there, and that's the Darian Porter mold of, get your best athletes on the field. And I don't know what to expect from Benny. I do know Quentin Taylor's another guy that's going to play a lot.
Okay.
So redshirt freshman from Apopka, really good corner, really good athlete, and I think he'll challenge for a lot of snaps. Quentin Taylor's another one of those freshmen like Coffey that'll be the next great corners at Iowa State.
Punter and kicker, pretty simple. They're going to have the two guys punting and Gilbert and Perkins, and then kicker will be Conradi. And then I put Townsend as the main kick returner and punt returner from what I've been told. They really, and Rocco more or less confirmed it for us too, that he thinks that, and the biggest thing with that is you don't generally put freshmen back there in that spot. You want guys who you can trust, and I think that they trust Townsend to, call a fair catch and catch the ball.
I'm going to give him another shout out because he's gonna make a name for himself at some point this year. Aiden Flora is going to be a factor for Iowa State special teams on the return game.
You love that kid.
I do. I'm a big Aiden Flora guy, not just because he's an ADM.
So is that who you're buying your stock? Who's your? Let's play our stock play right here.
Our stock play, like, are we talking like super unknown?
I want a growth stock, and I want like just a solid value play.
Well, all right.
The value play is Tyler Miller. Is that like buying stock?
That's my General Electric guy. Like, I know what I'm getting from that guy. Is that the right comp? I'm not a stock guy. Sure.
I feel like General Electric. That may have been a thing like 20 years ago. More so than now.
Well, anyway, I love Tyler Miller. I think so he's my safe bet. No questions asked. And then you can do
one on offense and one on defense, and then we'll wrap it up.
And then go ahead.
My safe bet on offense, I'm going to give James Neal some love. I think he's going to have a really good year on the other end.
I like that.
He's, again, a guy who, by all means, so you took Miller, so I'm going the other way. I would have gone with Miller.
I like the tackles. I do like the tackles.
I just think that James should, by all means, probably have quit football after that first year. Like, with the tape that was out on him, people are killing him on Twitter. And he's just stuck with it and is a pretty good player now, right? Like, Iowa State has gone into the season with much worse situations at left tackle than this guy. And this is more of a, hey, I appreciate you, James Neal, because I think that his best football will be played this year.
And not that it matters to the casual fan, A+ human being, James Neal.
Is he? I've never met him.
A+ guy. A+.
My growth stock on offense is Abu Sama.
Yeah, we talked about it. I agree. And I'll go Dom Overby just on that end.
Okay. The other one I would pick is Cooper Alexander.
Yep. Okay. I think you've made that clear. I like that. I like that too.
Defense. My safe play.
Jeremiah Cooper. I mean, the guy's done it for me.
That's a good play.
For 3 years. Kind of underappreciated at this point where how solid he is. He does so much, C-Dub, in the pass game that, he's really kind of that free, literally the kind of the backbone of that defense in a lot of ways. So excited for Jeremiah to have a big year.
I love all the linebackers. I love that group. I loved what we saw from Goodwin at the end of last year. Brazina wasn't healthy most of the year.
He wasn't.
When he was elite for a true freshman.
Totally.
It was one of the best freshman defensive players Iowa State has ever rolled out there when he was healthy. I'll go with John Tez, though, because I just think that I think we're going to have a little bit of a situation, where he's going to be so good that they're not going to that end of the field. And that opposite corner, the secondary situation is going to be tough because but the good thing is where it's going, and you can always single up John Tez. But I think I don't think he's in TJ Tampa world yet, but it's a similar deal to when you had Tampa and Purchase, and you knew where it was going, and you had to scheme for it. I think Iowa State's going to be in that position.
Yep. And now it's exciting to see who pops like John Tez did last year, and that's where I'm gonna go with my growth area. I'm putting my guy Coffee. Put my growth stock on Coffee. Yeah. Now I like Coffee, but I really like Coffee. I like David Coffee too. De La Salle High School, Chicago. Excited for David Coffee.
I'm going to go Cooper Ebel for mine.
Okay.
Situation last year.
Yeah.
He's really the only starting linebacker, really only linebacker in the entire two deep that stays healthy.
That's a great point. So
my point is his ratings and his numbers are not as good as because he's constantly
he was covering for
somebody else who's in the lineup, but probably shouldn't be. And he's almost like a teacher out there. And I think if he has Bacon and McLaughlin next to him, or even Lovett, he's going to feel like a new man out there.
Great.
So that's who I would buy stock in right now. It's Cooper Ebel.
That's a discussion that I'd like to have with Haycock this summer of just the knowledge difference for everybody there. Does that allow them to get more aggressive because they don't have to worry about the worst case scenario? Yeah. And they know that those guys will cover up, the basics. And so they can be freed up more to be just athletic. And that's where Cooper Ebel could really shine. That's a great point.
I would throw Tayshaun James a bone too.
Yeah.
Again, just gets beat up. I like those guys. That's the reason I put James Neal on there. Because it's like that dude
been through the ringer.
Oh my God. He was downright one of the worst tackles I've ever seen. And now he's been through it. He's done the film. You talk about how hard of a worker he is. And I think James had that, that Kansas game, do yourself a favor. Never go back and watch that game again. I feel like John Haycock still having nightmares about that. But it didn't matter what they did. They just couldn't stop him.
Yeah.
And that poor kid, James, is just getting abused in that game. And to the wherewithal, within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he's playing really good football, to learn from it. And so I'm going to throw him a bone.
I like that. This has been fun. I enjoyed this because there's enough known commodities to get excited for the casual fan, but for you diehards, there's some depth here that are coming.
All right. Boy, I can't believe I didn't put Nagoye as my growth stock. We're going to wait because I here's why. Because there's going to be a few rough patches at that other corner spot where I think those stock prices can drop just a little bit, and then we can buy them at a lower price. And then we're going to go and get more.
I'm curious. They'll put Benny on special teams a little bit, right? Like blocking some punts, maybe some kicks.
He's
there's
just
some
one of
stuff
those
he could
guys
do,
where you just look at him and you're like, that
that's
guy.
a player.
Porter had that. Yeah, there's a good comp there.
Yeah.
Did you see the picture that our guy, Cyclone Fanatic podcaster Jake Rimsberg put up of him and
Porter? Yes,
Darian Porter, like when they were on their visit?
They both look like children.
Look, Aiden's going to try and pull it up right here.
Because it is same class. Him and
it also shows how, like, when Campbell talks about like raising men and all that stuff, like look at how little these guys are.
Zoom in on that bad boy, Aiden, if you can. That is like that. They don't look like the same people.
They look like middle schoolers.
Yeah. That's why I always having really harsh judgments on freshmen and sophomores can be dangerous because they get better. This isn't, and that I would say that for basketball too. And Porter's a great example. Man, that took guy a little bit because look at him, but he turned himself into a high end player. And Remsburg still Remsburg. Love the guy.
Love Remy. There you have it. Williams and Blum on your Wednesday.
Look at us talking football today, buddy.
Look at that. That was a diehard football podcast. More of these to come, I promise.
Do we get all the names right, everybody? Let us know if we didn't. I know somebody will. Eskelson.
I've been working hard on that one because I know I'm going to have to say it a lot. Love him.
Yeah.
It's all wide receiver is always the deal too, though. It's easy to pop. Not talking about him specifically, but then you get to a point where only so many of them can play, and then people come at us and they're like, "Oh, you were wrong." Well, no, we're saying like that these guys have. It's the same thing as like the linebacker deal this year. Like it's why I didn't put Willich on there. It's like I don't know where to put him.
Yeah, and then when obviously is going to play tight ends, guys. So just because Overby or Eskelson may not have like starter snaps doesn't mean they're really good.
He is Brent Blum. My name is Chris Williams. Aiden Wyatt producing today's show as always, which is presented by our friends at Mechdyne. We'll be back on Sunday night here on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.